works in the Greater Manawatu, and in case you're wondering what a business development manager actually is in the context of property management, it's somebody who goes out and gives advice and help to people. It's really as simple as that. So Bob and I both go out and just give advice on properties that maybe people are looking at buying or looking at renovating or on rental amounts, but I won't steal Bob's thunder. So he's a business development manager, I should say, based in Fielding. He's an associate of the Real Estate Institute of New Zealand, which means he has a high level of legal studies, as do a number of our staff, so he's in a very good position to give advice. And I'll just hand over now to Bob. Welcome, Bob Weaver.
So, as you know, my name's Bob. As Greg has said, I've actually got two hats with Watsons. I am a property manager, so I run my own portfolio of properties around the Fielding area and even into the Rangitiki. But I work alongside Greg, business development. And yes, our job is to give advice, and that's very important. And our job also is to obtain property managements, and I suppose to encourage you in a nice possible way to use our services, because that's what we're all about at the end of the day. Okay, so we will get on. Powerful benefits of a property manager. So first of all, I just want to talk very, very briefly about what a property manager does. Now, I've done a presentation previously where I've gone through it all in detail. I'm not going to do that tonight because there's a few other things that I want to get to. But remember that your rental property and even the property you own, they're your most valuable assets. And our job as property managers is to protect your most valuable assets. So you're putting them in our hands to look after on your behalf, which is quite a responsibility, and it's not one that we take lightly. While we're doing that, we're also looking after the property, so we're helping maintain the property. It doesn't mean I go out and stick a few nails in or whatever, but it means that we're keeping an eye out and we know what we're looking for with regard to making sure that if there's any problems at your property, we can tell you and keep you informed and make sure that while you're actually getting your income, that the value of your asset isn't going down because you're not keeping up with the maintenance. A big one, relieving the owner of the stress of management. Now I know some of you here, actually we manage your properties for you. I'm sure there are some of you here who use other management companies. There's some of you who do it yourself, and there's some of you perhaps thinking about getting into the market. And that's all good, and it's a decision that you'll make at the end of the day. Of course we're biased because that's what we do, but there are good reasons why management companies exist, and there's good reasons now, and with the regulations changing more than ever, it's really, really important that you realise that what you can get. We're working on behalf of you as investors, not the tenants. Okay, so we have to make sure. Now I take over managements from a lot of people who have been doing it themselves, and 3-4 years they haven't done a rent increase. They'll come and tell me, oh, they're nice tenants though. They're lovely tenants. I mean, they would be. You haven't put the rent up for about 3 years. It is really, really important, and the guys there will tell you that you keep it maximised. It's your income, okay? It's your investment. It's not a plaything. It is for you to actually earn money. The other thing that's really important is to keep you on track with the Residential Tenancy Act, and the Residential Tenancy is really important. You can get derailed there quite easily. You can get big fines for things that you don't realise you can get fines for. So our job as property managers is to make sure you don't fall foul, because we do everything in line with that Act. We know it backwards, and we make sure that you're covered, and that is really interest, etc. Or you can get an investment property. Now you've been told how well the investment properties are going at the moment. Remember, as the prices rise, so the rents are rising as well. So don't get worried about, oh, the prices are going up, that's going to reduce my rate of return. But comparably, the rents are going up as well, and they have to. Otherwise, it would be a bad time for property investors. Okay. So the investment property, it's your tangible asset. Okay, it is tangible. You know, you can see it, you can touch it, you can do everything with it. You know it's there all the time, and it's your big asset. So you need to make it work for you while you've got it. And you've heard that about 10 years is a good time to keep it because it actually repays most of what you've borrowed. It's important you get an excellent rate of return. Now, I don't know if you're good at working out your own rates of return here. It is really, really important before you do anything, you work out how much it's going to cost you and how much you're going to make out of it. Now, if you don't know how to work out rates of return, we have got property consultants in this room, or you can ring us up, and property managers who are experienced in working out rates of return for you, and they will happily do that.
There's also, Bob, a calculator on the...
There's a calculator in the thing. So it's really important to make sure that you get your rates of return right as well. You know, remember to do it over 50 weeks, because you might have 2 blank weeks. So when you're working out how much income you get, make sure that you do add money in for maintenance. Don't ignore maintenance. It's really, really, really important, because you've got to keep your property maintained. And there were 1 or 2 owners who think, I get all this money in, I put it in the bank, I don't want to spend it. You have to be aware of. I'm sure we all know about smoke alarms. I'm sure any of you that have got rental properties, I'm sure you've got smoke alarms in the right places, within 3 metres of any bedroom, etc., etc. You know, I hope there's nobody here that hasn't, because it's big, big fines, and we've all seen in the papers how bad it's been when there's been a fire, etc. So it's really important that that's done. So that's one thing. But the installation is coming up. So this is just a reminder about the regulations. So from 1st July 2016, you must include an installation statement in your tenancy agreement. So if you're doing it yourself and you're producing the document, you have to have something in that tenancy agreement actually stating where your installation is. Okay, so it's really important. That should be in there now. From the 1st July 2019, where practical, you must have insulation in the ceiling and underfloor. Now, there are set demands of what degree of insulation you have. It's not just, yes, I've got bats in the ceiling, that won't cut the mustard. So you need to look up those, and we can give you those. I haven't got those here today. I'm not going to go through that now. And we can put you in touch with people who come and check and certify your insulation. IAG, which is New Zealand's leading insurance provider, has now decided, look, okay, investors, you've got these properties, we're insuring them for you, but you're not even thinking about us. You know, you're just going away. So now we expect certain things from you. So, Insurance Products Direct to under IAG, AMI, State, Lantern, NAC. Through insurance brokers, they come under the names of NZI, Lumley, authorised reps, ASB, BNZ, Westpac, SBS, Cooperative Bank. So if you're using any of those, they all come under this New Zealand's leading insurance provider. Okay, the meth problem, we know it's out there, let's not forget it. Okay, but it's not a biggie, it's very rare, but it is out there. So a meth test now, the insurance companies, and this is what the insurance companies are saying, a meth test to be performed before a tenant moves in. And keep an eye out for telltale signs of meth use, and again we've got details that we can supply to you, or the police can supply you, how to look for the telltale signs. And the meth test to be performed at the end of the tenancy. So why we're doing it at the start is because if you go along and it becomes positive, if we have to go to the tenancy tribunal on your behalf, or you have to go, you have to prove that when those tenants went in, it was fine, and now it isn't. And if you can't show it at the start, you've got no chance with the tribunal. And remember, it stays in the property for years. Okay, sounds simple, but it's not. References from previous tenancies, the home to be inspected every 3 months. Written inspections are now going to be required, and photographic or video records are recommended. If you're doing your own, are you going to do all this? Hope so. Upon awareness of illegal activities, application of the Tenancy Tribunal for termination of tenancy immediately. We do all this now. Yeah, we're charging 9.5% or whatever. but we're worth it. I mean, you actually work out how many, we worked out today how many hours, didn't we, that we spend doing it. What was it, David?
Upwards of 30 hours per annum.
Yeah.
And when you work out the
Per
cost
property.
per hour, it's very affordable.
Yeah, so we're full on with this, but we also know what we're doing. Okay, so a conclusion. Insurance companies are concerned about insurance claims. Okay, they don't want to spend out on insurance claims, but they certainly want you to look after their best interests as well as your own. They expect you to, as a property owner, to look after your insurance. I just said that. They recommend professional property management. I mean, that's what the insurance company is now wanting. If an insurance assessor comes into my office regarding your claim, first of all he sits down and says, "Can I see your last 3 inspection reports?" So I get them to him. He doesn't read them. He says, "That's fine. I just want to know that you've done them."
Let's move that slide on there, Bob.
Sorry?
Let's move the slide on.
Is it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And remember to read the small print on insurance. It's getting even more important now. There's a lot of, you can't afford to fall foul from that. Okay, we appreciate you've taken the time to attend our seminars tonight. I'd look a bit stupid here standing up on my own without, if you lot hadn't turned up, so really thank you for that. Now, we have 6 professional property managers in our company ready to assist you. We got Billy, we got Adrian, Dina, Josh, Philip and myself. Greg and I are happy to offer you a rental appraisal anytime you want, okay? I don't care who you're with at the moment or whether you're doing it yourself. We are happy to give you a rental appraisal, and we're happy to say to you, look, we reckon that we can probably get you enough where it covers our fees so you're no worse off, even though we're tax deductible. Okay, I welcome any questions that you've got. Thank you.
Just one question about insurance. Do you actually have to have, sorry, not insurance, insulation?
Mm-hmm.
Does it actually need to be certified?
Well, how about
industry around that?
Do you want me to answer that, Bob? Or
Well, if you want to.
At the moment, it hasn't been tested in court as to how much detail we have to go into with your details of what insulation is currently in the property. There's general recommendations, and it's quite complicated, so you can get reports done quite cheaply. With regards, if you're a little bit cynical like I am sometimes, you might want to get in sooner rather than later to upgrade insulation, because if there's a deadline that they're heading towards in July of 2019, if you were cynical like me, you might think that the prices may go up close to that time. So in terms of the guidelines and the regulations, yes, there are documents which we can provide if you'd like. You probably have to email Bob and myself. They're not in the material, but they're also available on the Ministry of Building, Innovation and Employment, which tells you exactly. But if you're using a reputable installer, they will know the guidelines. And what is heartening, I feel, is that if you have a home that already had bats, but it's an older home, those will shrink over time. So sometimes they just need what's called a top-up. So it's not necessarily as big a job as you might think, and there can be discounts or quite good offers that are out there as well. Like anything, just get a few quotes, but there's definite guidelines in line.
I remember.